Hey guys, this is the lesson video for lesson 4-5 where we are solving one-step equations using multiplication and division. So here on the screen, I have the key concept that we're getting at today. You can multiply or divide both sides of an equation by the same number and it will balance. So the example that I gave today in class was that if you had a hanger, let me change my marker color here. If you had a hanger, okay, and you put on your coat, and your coat was had a bunch of stuff in one side of the pocket, it would go and it would be all tilty, right? So the way that we would balance out the jacket is we would take out of the stuff out of the pocket to kind of level it out. So when we're working with equations, that's kind of how I want you to think about it. When we're getting the variable by itself, we're evening out that jacket pocket so that the hanger will go straight, okay? So looking at this first one, we can see in our bar diagram over here, I like to call them tape diagrams when they're uh, little rectangles like this. But you can see here over on this one that you have the total amount. When you have the total amount like this, you can tell either it's going to be multiplication or addition. Those two are related. So seeing a problem like this helps me to know that I have the total amount and I'm finding a missing piece by using division. Now in this one, you can see that I don't know the total amount, but I do have some other pieces of information here. You can see that the total is divided into pieces, so I'm going to be multiplying these together to find the big piece. Okay, so when we're doing these problems, it's really helpful to model your math because it will help you to write your sentence. All right, so we're going to go over a few of the word problems that we had assigned today. The first one says Lolo typed 1,125 words in 15 minutes. Let W represent the number of words typed each minute. If Lolo typed the same number of words each minute, how many words did she type in 1 minute? So there are a couple things that I know here. I know that total, she did 1,125, and that was divided over 15 minutes. So if you heard, I said divided over 15 minutes. So I'm going to draw myself a tape diagram that represents that. So here I have a tape diagram, and I know in total she typed 1,125 words. Okay, and then it says in 15 minutes. So it's going to be kind of cramped here, but what we're going to do is we are going to take this into 15 sections. Okay, so there's 15 sections there. And what we want to know, and I'm just going to highlight it right here. Each one of these, we want to know how many minutes that is. That's X. We don't know, right? We don't know how much each one of those minutes is yet. But what we do know is that we have a total and that we have it divided by 15, right? Up into 15. So I'm going to write my sentence as 1,125 is the same as 15x, right? Because I have 15 x's. I don't know how many of those are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at my equation, and what I told you guys in class is to follow these steps. Find your variable. There it is. What operation is being done to the variable? So I can see that that's a coefficient, and a coefficient is a number multiplied by a variable. So it's being multiplied. So I'm going to do its opposite so that I can kind of unlock that number and have the x be by itself to balance it out. So I'm going to do its opposite, which is division. So I'll divide by 15 on this side, and it cancels out. Boop. And then I'm going to go over here and do 15 on that side so that I can balance it out. X is now by itself, and I can find the answer. Okay, so I'm not going to solve this one because this is your classwork, but that's how you would go about setting this up and solving it. Your job is to do that long division. In the next problem, it says in 12 weeks, Felipe earns $4,500 doing yard work. He earns the same amount each week. Let M stand for the amount of money earned each week. How much does Felipe make in 1 week? So this is a very similar problem. Okay, so we're going to start by modeling the math. So I know Here's my tape diagram. And I know in total, how much money did Felipe earn? 4,500. Okay. And how much time did it take him to order that? It was divided over 12 weeks. Okay. Ideally, you want these to be a little bit more uniform and, the same size, but in the interest of time, we'll have it like this. Okay. So what we want to know is how much he earned in 1 week in this little section right here. So we can call that X, or you can call it W, or, oh, sorry, it does say M here. So this one says M. So what we're trying to find out is how much of each of these weeks does he earn? Like, how much does he earn each week? Sorry. Okay. So because I see that I have this overarching total, that tells me that I'm writing a multiplication sentence. Okay, so that's my product, right? That's the total that I had. And then everything else in the tape diagram tells me what I'm writing on this side. I can see that I have 15 M's. So if I were to fill this out, each one of these would have an M in it. So I'd have 15, not 15, sorry, 12 M's. Okay, so just like the problem before, we're going to ask ourselves, find the variable. What's being done to it? I see it's a coefficient, and a coefficient is a number multiplied by a variable. So if it's being multiplied, I'm going to do its inverse or its opposite and divide it by both sides. Okay, your job is to do that division to find out what M equals. And finally, this one, number 24, Emily took an airplane trip. Her plane flew an equal number of miles each hour. Let M stand for the miles flown each hour. Write an equation to represent one way you can find how many miles Emily's plane flew each hour. So there's multiple ways to do this, but the way that I would go about this is the same exact way that we've been practicing. Draw yourself a tape diagram. Okay. Do I know the total amount of miles that she flew? Yeah, I do. It's right here. Okay, so my whole tape diagram is going to be worth 2,184. Then I know that trip was over 12 hours, so it's split into 12 hours. Okay, sorry, that's not as beautiful as it should be, but you can see here that we have 12 sections divided up. What we want to know is how many hours or how many miles they flew each hour. So we're going to end up having 12M. So just like before, we can see that we have that overarching total. So it's going to be a multiplication equation. So we see I have 2,184 equals, and then I'm going to look inside the tape diagram to tell me what I'm writing. I have 12M. So then you would say, find your variable. It's being multiplied, so do the opposite. Find your solution. Okay, I would like to try another problem with you guys. It seems like we've only been doing multiplication ones here. Let me just grab another. Let's do number 15. Okay, so I'm going to write that one out for you guys. That one is u divided by 8 equals 12. Okay, so I'm going to model this with with a tape diagram. Okay, so I'm just going to read my situation here. It says u divided by 8 equals 12. So when I have a division problem, I know that I don't know this total yet. So what I'm going to say is, this is u. We don't know that yet, but we do know that u is divided by 8. Okay, so u is divided by 8. And once it's divided by 8, one of those little squares equals 12. So each one of these is worth 12. Now our job is to find out how many that is. So what we're going to do, find your variable. See what operation is being done next to it or done to it. This one is being divided. So I am going to multiply to move that away. Okay. And then we would have our variable value. Okay, so I would multiply both sides by 8. And 12 times 8 is 96. Okay, we know that's right because if I added 12 8 times, I would end up with 96. Okay. All right, I hope this was very helpful for you. I also am including a resource sheet, kind of like a notes page, to help you with addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Included on there are the steps that we need to follow. That's going to be attached to today's, which is Friday the 3rd. That's going to be attached to our Google Classroom assignment. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks, guys, and happy math.